Long before there were the acronyms of STEM and STEAM, there was Joyce Kistner doing exactly this. She infused art into every single discipline. We know she's a visual artist. She's also an educator and a historian. She moved an 18th century log cabin onto her property, invited many students to go through it, and filled it with artifacts so she could show them what life was really like in the 18th century. She wrote a book about this cabin. Along with that, she prepared a presentation, a PowerPoint, that she took into the schools about the history of Bristol and its founders. Along with that, again, she brought in all these historic artifacts to make it come alive. She brought in costumes, she dressed up the students to mimic the historical figures of Bristol. She sends them home with this bookmark that she made herself of all of her artwork that depicted the things that we talked about. And she wrote a book about the train coming to Bristol, which is why Bristol is here. She called it Tracking Bristol. And once again, it was filled with her artwork. She's truly amazing. She always has ideas. She's so creative, and she gets everyone on a board excited and keeps them moving. She's the best. Well, Joyce is also a very big community person. She was one of the founders of the Bristol Historical Association and was its president 2 times. Not only that, she was the first woman invited to be on the Bristol, Virginia Board of Education. As a matter of fact, the State Board of Education, because of her work with children and setting up art competitions for children, they made her a lifetime member of the State Education Board of Education. In 1980, Chuck Robb, the then governor, singled her out. There was a Southwest Virginia art competition at the Martha Washington Inn depicting Southwestern Virginia art. Every entry she put in, she accompanied it with a story or a poem, which just made it so individual and so significant that he acknowledged that. Joyce has, I think it's sort of a folksy appearance, but she also likes to, she has beautiful imagery of flowers and birds, but a lot is historical and the historical things around Bristol. She is the most creative person I know. She has been doing this for a long, long time, and it's her time to be recognized as an AAME Art Achiever. Joyce loves what she does. She loves art, she loves children, and she just was a motivator and a leader.
Speech giver, but we'll see. I would like to thank AAME and all of the staff who planned this wonderful celebration tonight. I am very honored to receive this year's Art Achievement Award in the category of Arts Education. I have 2 tables of wonderful friends, and I'd like to just call their names. They're all involved in art in the community. They're very active in different kinds of art situations and work a lot in whatever they're asked to do, they'll do. Judy Slaughter, who's president of BHA, I'll just mostly read their names. Carter Miles, Joyce Oakley, Mary Beth Renero, Angela Hopkins, Jan Renero, Tim and Peggy Buchanan, his mother's with him tonight, Linda Kirk, Barbara Smith, one of the things I'll never forget about Barbara, when we both retired, we decided we'd still like to teach, but in a different situation. So we went into some private, some public schools, and took artifacts. She's already told you this, but I'll tell you again. And had children dress up like Parson Burris. You know, he married people at the trains, not people, but children, like 15 years old. He dressed all in black with a top hat and a Bible. And he would marry them for $10. Of course, their parents didn't know they were doing this, but the children loved to dress up in these outfits. And Daniel Boone, everybody wanted to be Daniel Boone. When you put an activity with, like that was history, it's something children love to do, and you know, we had no problems at all in any of those schools in Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee. They were so interested in what we were doing. Kathy Watt, Sally Bentley, Bonnie and Spencer McKenzie, Kitty Williams, my son Hans, who told me not to tell this story, but I'm going to. I always think that parents should really spend most of their money on educating their children, because it means so much for them to grow up and have different experiences to see where their gift really is. And so this is very unusual for our area. And I don't know what year, they were like 3 and 4 years old, all these 15 children. No, it wasn't 15, it was like 7 or 8. But Dr. Borsch he was a German, and I mean, you stood at attention and you held that violin exactly right, and the bow, and you went home and you practiced 2 or 3 times a week. So, you know, you don't give in to children because they don't know how much this is going to be valuable to them in the future. So, I think Hans took violin about 3.5 years. It could have been more. I don't know. But anyway, one evening we go into this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. And so he comes in with his violin. It's just about this long for, you know, children, made just for them. And he laid down on the floor, put his feet on the wall, and thought he could play Twinkle Twinkle lying on the floor. Well, that's just not going to work. And I probably said a few words to him, you know, like, this is serious, and let's get serious about this. And his dad walked in and said, "This is it." Said, "There will be no more violin lessons." Well, it was not a lost cause, because he was learning things, even though maybe he didn't like the violin, but it's very hard for a child that young, and I thought maybe that was too young to start children, but the earlier you can get the arts into their system, then it will mean a lot more the rest of their lives. Performing artists, visual artists, and those whose calls into administration and advocacy in all subjects over my 28 years, and since I taught students to enjoy these art forms by listening, attending, and learning about art and history. And Barbara again told a little bit about this, is maybe talking to children about a cabin and tell them what you want them to, that you know, and ask them what they want to know, and you discuss it, and then they draw an illustration of their choice. They make the decision with different kinds of media, watercolors, oil, or, you know, In school, our schedules are so tight, you have to squeeze it all into that time, so, but when we could, we did that, and I thought it was so meaningful, because when children are participating in a project, then they will remember it longer, and it will mean really leave a special place in their hearts. Individuals like those around us here this evening create art using their unique God-given talents. The music, dance, and beauty our local artists brush and sing into our lives inspire future generations of the Tri-Cities, and we will continue to profit greatly from the legacy left by these many gifted people, captured by the lens and pen of AAME.